Evening or good night, depending on where you are watching in the world today, and welcome to round 7 of the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship. We're here today at Indianapolis road course in America for what will be the second American race of our season so far in the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship. Quite a tricky circuit, this one, especially in cars like these. Narrow at some points, definitely, which means going too wide at some points. This track will send you flying off into the grass or the crash barrier. From taking a look at some of the practice sessions that we've had so far with our drivers, it seems like tyre wear is going to be quite a big issue. I mean, it always is really in these cars, but especially around this track, it's going to be a big issue. Also, it seems like fuel isn't going to be able to make it to the end either, which is quite standard as well for these cars. They usually cannot make it to the end of a 45-minute race at any track, but it seems like it's going to be even worse today. Indianapolis, of course, quite an infamous circuit, not just in North America but across the entire world. Historic circuit, plays host to the famous Indianapolis 500 race, which uses the full 2.5 mile oval. This road course is just under 2.5 miles at 2.4 miles. And utilises parts of the oval along with a custom built infield track. You can just see there, we're looking at eMotorsports at the moment. He just came off the high banks of the oval there, and he'll come and join back onto the straightaway here. It's quite interesting as well, this track, because the road course uses the parts of the oval it does use, it actually uses them in the wrong direction. The track is usually an anti-clockwise circuit, with the final corner on the road course usually being turn 1 on the oval. So it's quite interesting. It's one of those circuits that actually changes the direction of the track depending on what layout you're using, which is quite a rare occurrence, especially in modern tracks these days. But of course, this track is not very modern at all. One of the first ever super speedways to be built. I believe it was the first ever track to call itself a speedway as well. As always, that we always do in every single qualifying session in the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship, let's take a look at our current standings. eMotorsports leads the way at the moment with 167 points. He's had fastest lap and pole position every single round so far, so really strong showing from him. It'll be interesting to see if he can be just as dominant today as he has been in the other rounds. Second place in our standings, we find Bruce Law with 154 points. Third is Muck Toasty with 122. Fourth is Dirk Diggler with 99. Fifth is DCFC Fan, who will not be partaking in this race today. He's had to drop out. I believe he's moving house. So if you're watching, DCFC, wish you all the new, all the luck that we can possibly give in your new house. Sixth place we find Chris M Sport with 72 points, only 3 behind DCFC Fan. And seventh is Green Gaming, who again will not be in this race today. I believe he might have been given a race ban, but I'm not too sure on that one, unfortunately. Eighth place is Tyjo, who's tied with Porscheman, who's in ninth, both on 53 points there. Then we have another tie between 10th and 11th between Spankmeyer and Giona. Giona had an outstanding outing last week in COTA, finishing second. So really strong outing from him. It's just something we didn't really expect from him, especially after his 9th place finish at Bathurst. In 12th place is Lecky 2000 on 40 points. In 13th is Mark on 38. And finally, we find CMCF1, who's scored no points so far, with a DNF in both round 5 at Bathurst and round 6 at the Circuit of the Americas. If we take a look at our qualifying at the moment, you'll find that Bruce Law is the only car on the grid at the moment to have gone to the 114s, but obviously eMotorsports not far away as usual. Could this be the first qualifying session of the season so far that eMotorsports does not take the pole position in? We'll find out in about 12 minutes time. In third at the moment is Giona, again a really strong outing from him so far. Still just about 6 tenths off Bruce Law's time, but that's still very impressive from the young driver. At the moment in fourth is Chris M Sport. You see him there just coming out of the pit lane. Quite a long pit lane this one, so any pit stops that are made are going to really affect your time. So the driver is going to be looking to try and make as little pit stops as possible. In fifth at the moment is Taijo. 116.1, first of the drivers who's not gone to the 115s yet. Then Dirk Diggler in 6th, McToasty in 7th, TGS Unbound, who is new to the LMP2s. He's come in as a temporary reserve driver to fill DCFC Fan's seat. And it will be interesting to see how well he can do today. Taking on the number... I believe it is the number 68 car that TGS has taken on, which used to be Tibev's ride before he retired from the championship, so hoping to continue the legacy that Tibev left behind. 9th is Porsche at the moment, 10th is Spankmeyer, Lecky 2000 in 11th. He seemed to have struggled a bit in the Marek this season so far. Only scoring a few big points finishes. He took 2nd place in Bathurst, that being his best best finish of the season so far, taking home 30 points in that race. He's had a DNF in round 1, an 8th place finish in round 2. He missed round 3 and round 6, which is probably why he's so far down the standings. But he's definitely got the pace. It's just that, of course, on some tracks that Marek performs better than others. CMCF1 in 12th at the moment. Luke Snipes in 13th. Again, a new driver to the LMP2s. He's come on. Oh, dear me. Big shunt there from, I believe that was eMotorsports. It's quite hard to tell whether that was eMotorsports or TGS. Just giving a big shunt into Luke. I think Luke just braked through a corner that he maybe shouldn't have braked through, and the car behind just didn't expect it there. 14th, we find Mark, still not been able to get under 2 minutes. He's had some issues so far this season, trying to get in some good clean lap times that don't get invalidated. He seems to just be on his outlap at the moment there, warming up the tyres a bit. Let's hop on board here with Bruce Law as he just comes round to finish his lap time. Looks like it hasn't been an improvement, possibly could have just been his outlap. As he dives down into turn 1, coming off the oval straightaway. Through the chicane into this quite long, sweeping right-hander, double apexed, of course, as you can see there. Then tight little chicane here, easily flat out in these high downforce LMP2s. Try and get nice and wide there to carry the speed down this kind of medium length straight here. Really heavy braking here. It's a tight, almost 90-degree left-hander, and it's another chicane. Right, left, and then right here again. And this will take you up onto the banked part of the circuit. Now this would usually be turns 2 there on the regular circuit, but oh dear me, I see Bruce Law there just making a little bit of a mistake and spinning the car around, almost sending it into the barriers. Thankfully just stopped it in time. As he comes across the line there to finish our lap of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course layout. It looks like Mark has finally got below the 2 minutes, but still a fairly slow time from him there. Almost 30 seconds away from Luke Snipes in 13th. Let's jump on board with him just for a little bit, just to see what's going wrong in his lap times. As he's set at 1:24.4 there, so a bit quicker, but still about 5 seconds away from the 13th place of Luke Snipes. He just doesn't really seem to be anything particularly wrong. Oh, as soon as I say that, he just got a little bit too wide on that straight there. Looks like he caught the grass possibly a little bit, and it just turned the rear end around, losing control and smashing the rear wing into the barrier. That is really not going to help his lap times, as the clock ticks down to about 6 minutes left to go here. Possibly the biggest story so far of this qualifying session is that eMotorsports is not in a provisional pole position. He's currently sitting second, almost just under a tenth off Bruce Law, which is still a very quick lap time. But if he wants to get that bonus point, he's going to have to set a slightly quicker lap time here. We'll certainly keep the cameras pointed to him at the moment. It's going to be eMotorsports will be certainly kicking himself if he can't secure pole position in this session. And he's going to come across the line here. Will it be quicker? Doesn't look like it is. No improvement there from eMotorsports. And I think now is as good a time as ever to let you know that you can ask me any questions you have, or tell me any information you might have that I don't in the chat. I'm open to pretty much anything, obviously as long as it's not offensive or overly rude. And it seems like that Bruce Law has gone even quicker, pushing eMotorsports behind by about a tenth now. Got a slightly quicker lap time there from Bruce Law, just increasing the gap to eMotorsports. And it looks as though Luke Snipes has still not found much pace in his car at the moment. Getting really close to the wall there, it looked like. I mean, you can't blame the man. Obviously playing on controller, so it's a lot harder to get a feel for the car, and it's a lot harder to run consistently quick and clean lines. And of course, he's barely had any practice. He was telling me earlier, he's literally just come home from work about an hour or so ago, I believe, and so he's barely had any practice at all, and he's just not very familiar with these cars. Seems like Bruce Law has come back out the pits here. He might have just gone in for a quick refuel and on his way back out now, try and increase the gap to Immortalis even further. He'll certainly be smiling at the moment, knowing that he can knock Immortalis off of that consistent run of pole positions that he's had. And it's worth mentioning as well, Giona still in third place here. So another really good run so far from Giona. Be interested to see what he can do in the race. And there must be some kind of quite a low track temperature out there at the moment. It seems like I see lots of cars weaving around to get some temperature into their tyres. So it could be interesting in the race. See if when they strap on a new set of tyres, if they have to, of course, how long it will take to heat up under race conditions. It's worth mentioning as well, just to add a little bit more spice to this race, that there is a chance that Immortalis could possibly win the title here today. If he can get a 36-point gap between him and Bruce Law overall, then that will be enough for him to grab the title, even if Bruce Law secures the pole position and fastest lap. I believe so. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. Apologies, actually, I believe there has to be a 37-point gap because you have to factor in the pole position and fastest lap. Yes, you do. So, if Immortalis can get a 37-point gap between him and Bruce Law, which would mean that that he will have won the title here one round before the end of the season. So, although that's not looking very likely at the moment, seeing as Bruce Law is quicker than Immortalis at the moment. So clock goes below 1 minute to go. Let's hop on board with Immortalis, seeing as this will be his final lap of the session. Will it be the first time ever in this season that Immortalis hasn't secured a bonus point from a pole position? We'll soon find out. Oh, he's run wide on exit. Oh, and that has completely spoiled his lap time, and he's put himself into the pits. Which means that unless someone else down the grid can pull off a blinding lap time here, Bruce Law will have got pole position. It's all relies on Taijo here. Will Taijo be able to knock Bruce Law off the top spot? Either way, Immortalis has ended his consecutive streak of pole positions. Oh, as he literally touches the wall there, and that sends him wide out onto the grass. That's going to lose a lot of time, and he's coming into the pit lane there, abandoning his lap. Still got McToasty and Lecky out on track at the moment. Although I believe that could just be a cooldown lap. Not too sure though.
Okay, we qualified just outside the top three, but we can make that up in the race. Good effort.
And here we get our confirmed qualifying results here in Project Cars. Bruce Law takes the pole position, knocking Immortalis off of his streak of consecutive fastest laps and pole positions that he's had throughout the rest of the season. Giona takes third place with a 1:15.592. Great lap time from him, and a really solid showing from him so far. Taito takes fourth, Chris M Sport in fifth, McToasty in sixth, Dirk Diggler in seventh, TGS Unbound in eighth. Good showing from him, especially considering he's a reserve driver who's just come in for this one race. Porscheman in ninth, Lecky takes 10th. Spankmeyer 11th, CMCF1 in 12th, Luke Snipes in 13th, and Mark in 14th will round out the grid for today. Two minutes of tinker time available here for our drivers at the moment, as I say every week, which allows them to lock in their pit strategy and fine tune their setup to race mode. It's going to be really interesting this race. Of course, lap one is going to be chaos. This track really isn't usually designed for cars like this at all. It's definitely more of a track for narrower cars, especially considering how narrow the track itself is. So fitting 2 or even 3 LMP2 cars, it's going to be very tight squeeze to say the least. So expect to see a bit of bumping and shoving on lap 1. I think my favourite to win today is probably going to have to be, I'm going to go for a wild card here and say Giona. I think that in the race here, Bruce Law and Immortalis, considering how close they are in terms of lap times, I think that could possibly, all their battling, could give Giona the upper hand to just slide past them and take the win. But if you're watching the stream live, let me know in the chat who your favourite is to win the race, as we have 25 seconds left on our timer there at the top of the screen. And the timer ticks down to 10 seconds here. Let's get ready for lights out. As we sync the race up, the red lights are on. And the lights are on, it's go, go, go. Here at Indianapolis road course. A great start there from Immortalis, puts him into first place. And he's going to have the inside line to turn 1. Bruce Law's going to be forced to go wide. As they go too wide into turn 1, Bruce Law there gets the position back. And Immortalis is going to be fighting as hard as he can to get that first place position back that he had just for a fleeting moment at the start of the race there. And it looks like Giona's already caught up to the back of Immortalis, apologies. And he's going to dive down the inside and he's going to take second place. Brilliant move from Giona there. Just shows how comfortable he is in the LMP2s. But it looks like Immortalis is already right below him. A tiny bit of a mistake there from Giona has cost him a bit of time. And Immortalis is going to have a draft as well here. He's not going to go for a move though. As, oh dear, Giona runs wide and Immortalis slips through to take back that second place. And it looks like Luke Snipes have had a stellar start, already up into 8th place. Fantastic from him. And Lecky's up into 9th as well. And you can just see there a little bit of a chain of cars, just following each other right behind, just to get the most draft from the car ahead as they can. Of course, if you don't understand how draft works, the car in front basically punches the hole through the air, and it allows the cars behind to get much higher top speed on the straights. As we see Taijo there, who's had a really poor start, sunk all the way down to 11th. I'm not too sure how that's happened, possibly a spin, but he's gone from 4th all the way down to 11th. He's going to try and go up the inside of TGS here, and it's a lovely clean move from him. And further up the grid, Girona gone past eMotorsports again. So these two jostling for position, trying to make their way into second place. And flicking down the grid a little bit here, we can see a bit of a battle emerging between Porscheman and Spankmaier. Spankmaier is just behind Porscheman here. It's quite hard to tell on that camera angle there how close Spankmaier is to Porscheman, but he wasn't close enough for a pass on this lap. As we see in the background there, was that TGS and McToasty going at it? It certainly was, and TGS is going to have the inside line here at sorry, he had the outside line, apologies. CMC had the inside line, but TGS completes a move up into 12. Taijo's made his way up into 10th here, but it looks like he's about to try and make a move on Luke Snipes, but no, just a bit too far back. Oh, a little bit of a touch there to the back of Luke Snipes. Doesn't look like anything too severe, but as I said at the start, before the race started, bumping and shoving all around. Dirk Diggler and Chris M Sport here look to be quite close as well. So battles emerging up and down the grid. Spankmaier, and Lecky and Porscheman at the front there. All three of them still going at it. And Lecky is right behind Spankmaier, and he's going to go for a move there past both of them, past Porscheman as well, and he moves up into 6th place. Lovely move, but Porscheman's gone for the switchback. And is Spankmaier going to go around the outside of Lecky? It looks like he is. Oh, it's really tight racing here. And Spankmaier just backs out there. You don't want to go side by side through that chicane. That's just asking for a death wish. As Taijo is going to go up the inside of Luke Snipes into this heavy braking zone. McToasty is directly behind him as well. Is McToasty going to get the move done? Looks like he is. He makes his way past Luke Snipes there. Luke Snipes sinks down into 11th place. As I said, this track just produces amazing racing. Even with these wide cars, a lot of the drivers are worried that this race is going to be a bit boring, but it's been far from boring so far. As we see CMC F1 there just behind TGS. He's going to be looking for a move, possibly at the end of the back straight that's coming up now. So he's going to tuck in behind. Oh, he's just touching the wall a little bit there, throwing a bit of dust into the air. And he's right behind CMC F1. He's going to... No, not quite. Can't quite dart down the inside. Just a bit too far back. And it seems like Lecky, Taijo, McToasty and Spankmaier all still fighting for it here. Lecky is sunk down to 8th place. And it seems like Porscheman has pulled ahead of it here, so possibly some contact between some of the drivers there. As Spankmaier has dropped down to 10th place. Looked like he just possibly spun on the inside of that corner there, just got to the grass. And McToasty still behind Taijo here. he's going to be too far back to make a move into the heavy braking zone at the end of this back straight. But he might give it a go, I'm not sure, but doesn't look like it. No dive bombs from McToasty, and we've just caught it at the right moment there. CMCF1 darts to the inside and makes his way past TGS, but TGS has had a better line, but he just gets a little bit of oversteer there on exit and goes back down to 13th, as that gives CMC F1 a comfortable 12th place position, and TGS seems to have lost a lot of time there. Flicking up near the top of the grid here, you can just see in the background there Giona, still just behind Bruce Law, about a 2.5 second gap between the two here. No idea what the cameraman's looking at there. And it looks like we've got a Giona and Chris fan in the chat there, saying Forza Giona and Chris. Hopefully they'll both do really well in this race. It looks like Giona's certainly doing well, currently in 2nd place, and Chris is doing well as well in 5th. So I'm sure that their fans will be very happy. McToasty still sat behind Taicho there in 9th place. And it seems like eMotorsports dropped quite a lot of time. He's all the way down to 3rd place. Clearly this isn't his favourite track at all. Usually we're used to seeing him being absolutely rapid in these LMP2s, but if he slows down even more, this could really shake up the standings. Have a quick look at the timing sheet at the moment. See, Dirk Diggler have a 20-second penalty. I'm not too sure how he's had that given to him, but that's really going to affect his race. Bruce Law at the moment with the fastest lap of the race, to a 1:16.536, which was his last lap time in fact. Along and Giona of a 1:16.651. So although Bruce Law is faster than Giona at the moment, it's not by much. Flicking down the grid there, you can see Taicho and McToasty lapping very similar in terms of lap time. So close all throughout the field. Let's take a quick hop on board with Bruce Law here and see what kind of race lines he's running. Oh my god! Huge commentator's curse there. Bruce Law has spun, and that's allowed Giona to move up into 1st place for the first time ever in the LMP2 Championship. Giona is in 1st place. His fans are going to be extremely pleased with that one. And even eMotorsports now up into 2nd place as well. Bruce Law gone all the way down to 3rd. This is really shaking it up. Just one tiny mistake from Bruce Law has sent him spiralling down the field. Bruce Law is not going to be happy with himself after that one, although he should have the pace to overtake eMotorsports in the next few laps. But he should be worried about Giona, because Giona is really fast at the moment around this track, and he's lapping very similar to Bruce Law. So it's going to take quite a lot of an effort from Bruce Law to catch up to Giona and overtake him. If we flick down the grid a little bit here, you can see that I believe we've had a retirement from Mark. which I guess you kind of have to expect, to be fair. He wasn't lapping very fast, and I can understand why he would want to retire. But some really close racing at the back of the field here between Luke Snipes and CMCF1, as well as TGS, just in the background there. So I'll make sure to keep the cameras looking at them throughout the race. But as we see there, Taijo just trying to go up the inside of Porsche. Porsche forces him wide. That could be well for the stewards there, as Taijo has lost quite a lot of time from that. I'm not sure if Porsche gave him enough room on the track there, but could expect to see a stewards inquiry between those two. As you see Taijo there, just behind Porsche. Possibly he's already closed up that gap quite nicely. Although he's going to be way too far back to make a move. And meanwhile, it seems that Bruce Law is lapping quite slowly actually now, with a 117.7 last lap. Joan in the 116, so 116.988. So it seems like actually Jonah seems to be pulling away from Bruce at the moment. This is really interesting for the standings. Taijo still hasn't caught up to Porsche enough to make a move. Well, they can see how close it is between those there. It seems like TGS has pulled away a bit at the back of the field, but CMCF1 and Luke Snipes are still going at it. A battle for 12th place there. Let's have a quick look on board with Bruce Law once more and see how much he's closing that gap to eMotorsports. Oh, eMotorsports went a bit wide for that corner there, going very wide actually onto the grass as Bruce Law makes his way up easily into second place. It's probably one of the easiest overtakes of the race that Bruce Law will have to do. And that's comfortably put him up into second place. eMotorsports is not going to like that. And Luke Snipes has just gotten past CMCF1 again, and then it's CMC locking up a little bit there. Had to prevent himself from running into the back of Luke Snipes. So these two are trading places all the time. Speaking of trading places, CMCF1 has gotten up into 12th again, which puts Luke Snipes at the back of the field. As CMCF1 goes wide and Luke Snipes moves back up into 12th, so it's just back and forth between the two at the moment. Looks to be very close between Porsche and McToasty at the moment, as Lecky's made his way up into 6th place, so I'm not sure how that's happened, but a really good outing from Lecky there at the moment. Looks to be action happening all over the track, and I just can't keep up with it. eMotorsports seems to be able to stay on the back of Bruce Law at the moment. It'll be interesting when they come across the line once more to see what the lap times are looking like for the two. Joan has pulled out quite a gap to Bruce Law at the moment now, about 6 seconds. So he's really showing some strong pace. And you can see that Bruce Law and eMotorsports are setting very similar lap times. Bruce Law for 1:17.239 and eMotorsports for 1:17.279. So really similar lap times, as I said, which means it's going to be close between these two, and it's going to be interesting to see if eMotorsports can find a way to close up that gap and make his way up into second place. Let's just hop on board with Porsche at the moment, just to see how far back from Toasty he is. Of course, on some of these cameras it is quite hard to tell sometimes, visually speaking, how far they are back. So it seems to be about the same kind of the gap, really. Neither car are pulling ahead or falling back too much. So really going to be interested to see between those two who will come out victorious in the end. Meanwhile, TGS Unbound has pulled out quite a sizable gap now to Luke Snipes, about a 12-second gap there. We've got Team Angie in chat saying Forza Bruce Law, so Bruce Law has got a fan in the chat as well. As Dirk Diggler comes into the pits here for his first pit stop of the evening. We seem to have a retirement as well from CMCF1, not too sure how that's happened. Looks to be a splash and dash from Dirk Diggler here. Will there be any damage repair, or will it just be fuel? We'll have a look. And it looks like there's some damage repair as well, so I think Dirk Diggler must have picked up a little bit of damage there and decided that it's best to come into the pits here and get it fixed, and whilst he's in the pits, top up with some fuel to make it to the end of the race. So clearly the drivers don't think they're going to be able to make it to the end on a standard tank of fuel, which we expected, really. Take a quick look at the timing. Take a quick look at the timings once again. Just have a look, see who's currently got hold of the fastest lap. It seems to still be Bruce Law with that 1:16.536, and Jonah hasn't quite been able to crack it yet. No one at all got into the 1:15 so far in race pace. Although you never know, as tanks of fuel start to get emptier and the car starts to get lighter, we might be able to see some stellar lap times. Apologies, actually, no, Bruce Law currently doesn't have the fastest lap of the race. It's a Lecky 2000 with a 1:16.397. That is a fantastic lap, but Lecky 2000 really on the charge here. That is an amazing lap, especially in the Marek. Let's take a quick look at him here. You've got Chris M Sport just about a second down the road from him. Chris M Sport lapping in the 1:17.9s, and Lecky's in the 1:16.9s, so lapping about a second quicker here. That's got to be probably one of the shock drives so far of the race, to see Lecky 2000 in 5th, especially in that Marek at this track, is quite surprising to say the least. So we have a battle for 4th place going on there between Chris Hemsworth and Lecky, and just behind Lecky we seem to have a battle for 6th place going on here, albeit a bit of a more spread out battle between Tyjo, Spankmeyer, McToasty and Porscheman right at the back there. Just all battling out here for 6th place. As we see, apologies there, I believe that's a lap, that is Dirk Diggler being lapped, no? Guys, it's hard to tell. It was Luke Snipes' apologies there being lapped. It's quite hard to tell, especially with deliveries being the same on some drivers. But where was I? Yes, bit of a battle for 6th place going on there, albeit quite a spread out one. eMotorsports has not been able to stay on the back of Bruce Law. About a 1.5 second gap between him and Bruce in front. So he seems to have fallen off a little bit there. If you look on the left hand side of your screen, you can see their last lap times. Bruce Law's was a 1:17.3, eMotorsports doing a 1:17.7. So eMotorsports just can't keep up at the moment. But Jonah lapping faster than Bruce Law at the moment. So these drivers really battling it out at the moment. As we see here, a Lecky 2000 has gone for a little bit of a spin on the final corner there. That's a real shame because he was just behind Chris Hemsworth. I just flicked over to Chris there because I saw the gap. Because I was expecting Lecky to go for an overtake on Chris, but instead I found Chris all alone and Lecky behind, facing the wrong way. That's not good, and Lecky's going to have to recoup that lost time now. Team Angie very confident that in their prediction there, reckons that Bruce is going to win. And he's definitely got a strong chance. He's currently lapping about half a second quicker than Jonah at the moment, and he appears to be closing that gap a little bit, so you could expect to see a Bruce Law win there. Then she has also come with eMotorsports in second, and Jonah all the way down in third. I've got to say, although Jonah is fast, he can be a bit unpredictable and inconsistent sometimes, which we found out a bit earlier on in the season when he got that 9th place finish at Bathurst. Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, he was doing quite well in that race, but then just made a few mistakes and it sunk his position down a bit. As the TGS Unbound there coming into the pits, second driver to pits so far in the race. Looked like there's definitely some damage repair there, and I imagine the top up of fuel as well, just to get to the end of the race. Taking a quick look at the timings there, you can just see that TGS Unbound has picked up a 10-second place penalty, and he's also 2 laps down from the leader at the moment. So I'm not too sure how he's got that penalty, possibly from a track limits violation, but you need to do quite a few of those to get a penalty like that. They're usually 2 second penalties for track limits. So I'm not too sure what he's done there, but definitely a sizable penalty. And Lucky 2000 has also come into the pits at the moment. That looks like damage repair as well. Although, of course, it could just be an error with the game. You never know, Project Cars. It could be refueling, but it's just not showing up on the cameras. And not Toasty there, just behind Spankmeyer at the moment. And of course, 10 seconds speed in the pits. Thank you very much, Team Andrew there. I completely forgot about that. Of course it is. They seem Toasty here trying to find a gap to make his way past Spankmeyer. Really close between these two. As you can see there, Spankmeyer have a bit of a better run out of the last corner, but lets him pull ahead a bit. And Toasty's going to be too far back to make a move. As Spankmeyer goes wide there, and Toasty's going to have to go around the outside. But he's going to have the inside here in a sweeping right-hander. But Spankmeyer just cuts back in onto the inside line there, forcing Toasty to slow down a little bit to avoid a collision. That's some smart driving there from Spankmeyer. Clean as well, which is the important thing, as Spankmeyer goes a little bit too wide there. Oh dear, as just as I was talking about it being clean, Spankmeyer spins round and Toasty had nowhere to go and rams straight into the front end of Spankmeyer. And we appear to have had another retirement. I'm not too sure who it is. eMotorsports, he's just set at 1:16.841 on his last lap. Really quick time from him there. So that could possibly help him catch up a little bit to Bruce Law, although Bruce Law also set in 1:17.015 in his last lap. So really tight for that top three at the moment. Well, Jonah's doing a good job to keep that gap between himself and Bruce Law. If Jonah can secure a victory here, he's going to be over the moon. Unlike Bruce Law's big fan in the chat. As the clock there just ticked below 15 minutes. We have just about a third of the race left to go. As we have a quick look at the lap times here, from the top three drivers, you can see they're all really close. eMotorsports currently fastest between the three. Last lap set a 1:16.616, which was also his fastest lap of the session so far. Giona and Bruce Law both setting 1:16.7, so really close between those two. But Lecky 2000 still holding on to the fastest lap of the race so far, for 1:16.370, which was in fact his last lap. So Lecky 2000 really on the charge here. But Bruce Law there just had an absolutely stellar lap, setting at 1:16.359, which is actually now the fastest lap of the session. As soon as I was done talking about Lecky 2000 having the fastest lap. Bruce Law swoops in and steals it away by 11 hundredths of a second. And speaking of Lecky 2000, he looks like he is on his way to overtaking Dirk Diggler at the moment. Both these drivers have pitted in the race. I don't believe, no, my timings doesn't show me who's pitted yet, but I can definitely say Dirk Diggler and Lecky pitted. And that gap is absolutely tumbling in front of Lecky now. He'll probably be past Dirk Diggler in no time at all. It seems like Jonah here slowed down a little bit. That gap that was 5.5 seconds a few laps ago between him and Bruce Law is now down to 4 seconds. So Bruce Law is actually closing that gap, although he doesn't have longer left to go. Just under 12 minutes there left to go as Luke Snipes comes into the pits here. I believe this must be damage related, although he is putting a bit of fuel in the tank, although I don't think that was necessary. The game showing that he had 27 litres of fuel, although that could have been set before he actually had the pit stop, but as he set the fuel on his dash. Speaking of fuel, let's take a quick look here. There, Jonah on 20 litres, which should be enough to get to the end of the race. Same as Bruce Law, both on 20 litres. eMotorsports on slightly more on 22 there. So all three drivers here should have enough. Let's have a quick look at the dashboard of Jonah there. You can just see about 3 litres per lap there, which gives Jonah about 6 2/3 laps of fuel left, which should, it probably actually won't be enough to get to the end, although it's going to be close. You can see Bruce Law there doing an average of 1.82 litres per lap, Jonah on the 2.85, eMotorsports also doing 2.54 litres per lap of fuel. So Bruce Law is the only person in his top 3 so far who's actually fuel saving. I don't think Jonah or eMotorsports realise that they actually have to fuel save. They might think that they have enough to get to the end, although it's going to be really close. So I'll make sure to keep an eye on those fuel counters for you all. Well, it seems like at this current rate, Jonah's not going to have enough fuel to get it to the end, and Bruce Law might be able to take the win. Let's hop on board with Jonah just for a short while, just to see if we can hear any lift and coasting or fuel saving of any sort. Doesn't sound to me like much lift and coasting happening. As he comes across the line here, his average litres per lap should flash up, and it is 2.64, so slightly less than last lap, but still a bit too much, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course I'm doing all this maths in my head. But I believe Jonah won't have enough to get to the end. And Bruce Law there averaging 1.7 litres per lap. So he's definitely fuel saving. But Giona is not. Have a look at Immortalis. Immortalis isn't fuel saving either, although he is doing a little bit less fuel per lap than Giona is. Let's just listen for some lift and coasting here on board with Bruce Law, and we'll put the speed on as well, just to have a look at his throttle inputs. So I think that Bruce Law thinks that he's done all the fuel saving that he has to, and he I think he has actually as well. So I think he's just going to go flat out here now, as he just set a 1:16.680, really fast lap, and it doesn't seem to be any lift and coasting on that in the car at the moment. Immortalis just did a 1:16.379, a really fast lap. Is that actually the fastest lap of the race? He's already set the fastest lap of the race earlier on, actually. Apologies. Well, no, he hasn't. He actually hasn't. A Lecky 2000 has a 1:16.108. Really fast lap there from Lecky 2000. This Marek must be really quick around this track. But let's have a look at Giona here. What's his average fuel per lap going to look like? You can just see it on the dash there, just underneath where it says interface on the screen, and just to the left of the big N, and that is 2.47 litres per lap. And so I believe that gives him around about 4.5 laps of fuel left. Apologies, no, about 5 laps of fuel left. And that it's going to be close, but that should actually just about be enough to make it to the end of the race. And Bruce Law's got slightly less fuel. So it seems like these three have actually timed their fuel really well. Just on board with Luke Snipes here at the moment, currently sat in dead last. He's not had the best of races at all. He's currently 5 laps down from the leader. Although I think, sorry, it's more, yeah, it's about 4 laps down, apologies, from the leader, setting 1:25s for best lap time so far of 1:21. Not the best day for him so far, and there's not really much chance of him scoring any decent amount of points, but fair play to him for sticking around and sticking out to the end. It's always better to finish a race than to retire before it is finished. Bruce Law has closed that gap now down to about 3 seconds to Giona. It's going to come down to the wire between these two. And that gap just closed up even more now to about 2.5 seconds already after 1 or 2 corners. So Bruce Law there setting 117.1 as his last lap time. Giona for 117.8. So Bruce Law clearly a lot faster than Giona. Is Giona fuel saving? Take a quick look at his average fuel per lap. It's 2.31. He's got 8 laps of fuel left. 8 litres, sorry, of fuel left, which equates to about 3 laps of fuel. So it looks like he is actually just going to make it perfectly to be able to finish the race. As the clock there just sinks below 3 minutes, we have about 2.5 minutes left to go of the session. Bruce Law has just gained another half a second on Giona there through that lap. Bruce Law with a 1:16.639. A fantastic lap from him there. Even quicker than eMotorsports, who's currently sat in 3rd place. This is going to be a real nail biter here. Will Bruce Law have the pace to get past Giona? Or will Giona hold out and retain 1st place? Bruce Law there, he's sunk the time down to about 2 seconds now, just below 2 seconds in fact. But of course, the big question at the moment, will Giona retain his 1st place? It looks like he might do. Bruce Law just set a lap 3/10 of a second faster than Giona, so Bruce Law definitely quicker. But it looks like this is going to be the last lap of the race, and I think unless Giona makes a big mistake here on this last lap, he is going to take his 1st ever victory in the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship. Whoa, almost pressed the wrong button there. Let's hop on board with Bruce Law for this final lap. He's far, he's very far back there from Giona. It's not going to be able to overtake him as we go down to 5 seconds left to go. And Giona is in fact going to take 1st place here for his 1st ever win in the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship here at round 7 at Indianapolis road course. Fantastic victory for Giona there. It's going to be a massive confidence boost to him. And he seems like a real driver to contend with in these LMP2 cars after his 2nd place last round and a win this round. Bruce Law is going to take 2nd place, eMotorsports in 3rd. A very strong outing for eMotorsports there, as I believe he takes the fastest lap as well with his 1:16.180 there. Chris M Sport is going to come across the line to take 4th position. Team Angie being a very good sport there in the chat saying congratulations Giona, that was a good race and a well deserved win. It certainly was good racing from all the drivers here today. Special credit to Luke Snipes as well, just for making it to the end of the race. I know how hard it can be sometimes when you're sat at the back of the grid, a lap far down, but huge commendations there Tim for not retiring. As we get the official results in here, as Jonah takes the win here in the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship Round 7 at Indianapolis Road Course. Fantastic win from him, well deserved. He's been quick this entire race, and although it went straight down to the wire, he came out victorious in the end. Bruce Law takes second place, only 1.6 seconds behind Jonah. Immortalis takes third, as quick as ever from Immortalis. Although he didn't get the fastest lap or the pole position today, fastest lap goes to Lake 2000 with a 1:16.108. Chris M Sport takes fourth, Taijo in fifth, Toasty sixth, Spankmeyer in seventh, Lake 2000 in eighth, Dirk Diggler ninth, Porscheman 10th, and Luke Snipes in 11th, and then TGS Unbound, CMCF1 and Mark all retired. Well, thank you thank you all very much for joining me today. It's been a really thrilling race, and some fantastic driving from all our drivers here today. Really quick as well. Wasn't much of a strategy race this one, but it was thrilling as ever. Make sure you join us next week for round 8 of the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship. We'll be heading for round 8 for our final race of the season at the Daytona Road Course. That is going to be one hell of a race. Always fun at that track. But as always, thank you very much for joining me. Make sure to follow all the Flux Motorsport Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all next week for round 8 at Daytona. Goodbye.